We are going to start where we left off last time. Christianity claims a universal God, a God more powerful who has dominion over every people in every place at every time. Christianity also proclaims a God who is over all other spiritual beings. Although the attempt to incorporate it into a sort of universalism, true Christianity claims superiority over all other gods, over all faith practices, and over all creation. Because of this, it cannot be integrated into a pantheistic idea of spirituality. And because of this, Christianity demands an objective measuring stick. Though Judaism and Islam, as the other two global and monotheistic religions, make similar claims, neither of these two other monotheistic faiths is a threat to those who seek to destroy the fabric of the country. Judaism is, in and of itself, its own cultural faith practice, and thus remains something of a tribal religion. And Islam, similar to Judaism and unlike Christianity, demands adherence to not only religious precepts, but civil, family, legal, and political precepts as well. Islam, in particular, is tyrannical in its nature, and not a religion at all, but more like a totalitarian political system. This statement is something I am ready and willing to defend from the position of a, quote, political scientist, but I really want to finish up this short chapter today, so I'm just going to read that statement again. Islam, similar to Judaism and unlike Christianity, demands adherence to not only religious precepts, but civil, family, legal, and political precepts as well. Islam, in particular, is tyrannical in its nature and not a religion at all, but more like a totalitarian political system. It is therefore not a threat to those who seek to destroy the American way of life. Indeed, it is quite the opposite, as strict adherents to Islam are allies to the destruction of American society as we know it. This should be setting off some light bulbs in some minds right now, like why the radical feminist movement or the Ligbit movement is pro-Islam, even though Islam in practice is very misogynistic and oppressive, stoning girls and throwing gay men off rooftops. Islam is also very willing to adopt the idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the progressive left and the fundamentalist Muslim are using each other toward the same end, to destroy the fabric this country was founded upon and replace it with their version of totalitarian perfection. Christianity, however, is the ultimate shield against the destruction of the country's fabric, because Christianity not only introduced a new universal monotheistic religion, but initiated a cultural revolution in the West. Evidence of this is seen in the fact that ancient paganism lives only in the name of planets and for those who follow astrology charts. Atheists, in fact, invoke pagan gods to attack Christianity, because invoking Baal or Zeus as gods makes all religion sound silly. But that's only because Christianity made all other religions sound silly first. Atheists often mock Christians for believing in an imaginary man in the sky, for example. I don't believe in Santa Claus, but I don't go around in December telling children who are in line to sit on his lap that he is not real and they are bound to be disappointed come Christmas morning when that one thing they whispered in his ear is not under the tree. If atheists see Christians as silly children because they believe in the imaginary man in the sky, what harm is that belief in others? And why must it be squashed? Why the vicious attacks against something that has no impact on the atheist whether or not someone else believes it? Especially if these Christians do good in the world in the name of their God, like caring for the widow and the orphan and the poor and those in prison. Why can't atheists just say they are taking the other side of Pascal's wager and go on their way? Those that do simply take the other side of Pascal's wager benefit from the culture that allows them to disbelieve, but was built upon that which they have chosen to disbelieve. However, those who are intent on unraveling the fabric of the country know a direct attack against Christianity is a path toward destruction of the civilization Christianity wrought. To destroy the country, Christianity must be destroyed as well. Those who claim to simply want to sit at the feet of reason and encourage others to embrace secularism and science instead of religion may not realize that science itself was birthed out of Christian pursuits, and secular is actually a Christian term. The irony for the ignorant atheist is that secularism is an invention of Christianity, and thus secular values are the product of Christianity. But there are also those who do know this and understand the implication. And not only do they want to wipe that reference from the collective consciousness of the West, but they want to eliminate the principles and values that flow from understanding what secularism truly is. These are the same people who are tearing apart all our values by changing definitions and by rejecting the shared meaning made possible only by the Bible. By rejecting the Bible, by making Christianity the enemy of civilization, they are also rejecting natural law and separation of church and state, shredding the fabric of this country one small lie at a time. And here we go. We are finally getting to it, wrapping everything up that we've been talking about since chapter 1. Unlike how Islamic law extends beyond religious law to commercial law, civil law, and family law, natural law is supreme. But instead of leading to tyranny, it informs limited government. And there it is. Quote, this idea of separation of church and state comes from Augustine's Two Cities. And I'm taking this from Dinesh D'Souza's What's So Great About Christianity. Yes, the Christian gives his ultimate devotion to the heavenly city, but some remarkable conclusions follow from this primary allegiance. It means that the earthly city need not concern itself with the question of man's final or ultimate destiny. It also implies that the claims of the earthly city are limited, that there is a sanctuary of conscience inside every person that is protected from political control, and that kings and emperors, however grand, cannot usurp authority that rightly belongs to God. End quote. Christianity is the first and only system under which there is an understanding of these two distinct realms. Western civilization has been built upon the understanding that there are some things governments, even elected ones, cannot control and should not try to. The understanding of the freedom that defines the American experience requires government to be limited in power. And the idea of limited government comes directly from the Christian notion that there is a space that is off limits to government authority and control. Due to reliance on natural law, the entire private sphere should be outside the power and control of the state. Instead of allowing government control over all parts of society and all human activities therein, totalitarianism, the concept of a limited government, as recognized in the Declaration of Independence and codified in the U.S. Constitution, relies upon outlining specific areas where the government is allowed to have influence, specific behaviors the government has been given permission to police. This right here is what makes the United States different. Natural law is codified, and the government is not given power, but permission to act. And this concept is uniquely found within Christianity's embrace of natural law over man-made law as well. Now, people are talking about, quote, Christian nationalism, but even that would be a man-made concept. Remember, any law in conflict with natural law is the immoral one. We cannot force anyone to be free. We cannot force our ideas or beliefs onto unbelievers. Christians who want to impose their value system on those who disagree with them are just like the progressives who want the power to impose their value system on those who don't agree with them. When people call any movement a cult, whether it be the Ligbit cult or the climate cult or the MAGA cult, they understand the religious aspect of these movements. Christianity does not call for forcing anyone to adhere to a set of beliefs because it recognizes natural law and knows that is impossible. Christianity is less of a religion than those activist movements, because those activist movements seek to marry their value systems to government power, whereas Christianity, based upon natural law, understands that value systems exist outside of man and their dictates. If you get rid of Christianity, you eliminate the idea of secularism. You eliminate the idea that there is a space outside the authority of government. Not to mention, all Christian values become suspect. And with redefining terms and words and confusing our language, what is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control? What does loving your neighbor really mean? Why should we care for the widow and the orphan, or feed the hungry, or clothe the homeless, or visit those in prison? Why should we have freedom of religion? Why should we have freedom of conscience? Eliminating or even undermining Christianity opens the path for government control over every aspect of life, from what we are allowed to read or watch, to what we are allowed to believe, to what we are forced to do. Pulling the thread of Christianity out of the foundational fabric will destroy the country as we know it.